All right. So let's take a look at what are the elements of building an effective team. Well, what's the first thing that we got to do? Asking the question, why are we here? Uh, well, why we're here is we're going to find a purpose or a well-defined goal and make sure everyone understands that goal. So the first question I'm going to ask is, what are the elements of a well-defined goal? If we say, well, we've got to do this thing, what are some of the things that this thing should, should contain? The goal. This is in general speak. Anybody? Well, one of the things that you would probably want to know is when do we have to get this done, right? Uh, are we going to do this one time? Are we going to do this more than one time? Are we putting this together for what's the particular reason we're putting this together for? What are we going to be doing? Now, one of the things that I learned along the way is there are 7 C's of team building, and the first one is cognition, and which comes to understanding. So the first thing in order to build a effective team would be to make sure everybody understands what that goal is and what the idea is, moving forward. Next, we're going to take a look at consensus. In any team that you're trying to build, uh, necessarily you're going to have an agreement on what the goal is. I mean, is everybody agree that this is something that is going to be accomplished or or what they want to do? Is this something I want to do or be a part of? That's a question for everyone on the team to ask and answer personally. In Rotary, is this a committee that I want to be on, or is this maybe there's a better committee for me that gives me a little more flexibility or is involved with the things that I feel more passionate about? So this is going to be about building consensus. And the second C of the 7 C's of team building is commitment. So making a commitment that this is something that I want to do for the better, for building the team and for getting the goal to become accomplished. The next would be tasks. Okay, and I guess this is pretty basic. Okay, we need to know what the tasks are involved in making our goal. Uh, so the team will need the team's going to need to complete a number of tasks and what is the timeline that we might have to put in place to accomplish these tasks. And then we'll need to coordinate with one another on what these individual tasks might be. So there's communication, which we'll talk about in a minute, but we need to coordinate with the members of the team as to what they're going to have to do, and the timeline will be very important in the process. The other thing that comes through and coordinate actually is one of the C's, and also are conditions. So what are the conditions right for this particular project or the goal that we want to achieve? And what are some of the things about conditions that could come up to hamper or even sabotage the goal that we're trying to achieve? What kind of things that you can have in a team that might get in your way? Anybody? If I were putting a team, let's say, and I needed to have the goal done by Saturday, what are some of the conditions that would come up for any one of you if given that short notice? One would be
I
time.
guess like
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna find a timeline
Yeah, I don't
like
have
a
time. Um, and what's another condition that might come up for the people who are on the team that could get in the way of achieving the goal? And this is pretty fundamental stuff. This is not rocket science. Just think about any, in your own life when you've been asked to join a team and asked to do things, and what comes up for you.
Do you have the right resources?
Right, and that's going to come up next too. Do you have the right resources? But the conditions that might be personally there would be, um, especially when we've gone through the timeline. Uh, I'm going to be on vacation. Uh, I've got a doctor's appointment. I that these sort of things that come into the kitchens. Oh, they're doing renovation where we want to go and meet, or it could be a physical thing where they shut down between this time and that time, and so we've got to redo our thinking around it. These are the kind of conditions that can exist in any team building exercise that are going to get in the way of completing the task. But a lot of it has to do with personal issues, and some of it has to do with physical abilities and physical uh, conditions that happen on the ground. I can't get out of my driveway because I've got construction in my neighborhood for the next 2 weeks. Something silly. But these are some of the conditions. So these are the other things that get in the way potentially of building an effective team, getting things done. And then the evaluation of resources, Kara, that exactly right. And some of these things are intermingled. They might come before the other, but this is something that is very important. What do we have at our disposal? What do we need to acquire? What other things do we need? And do we need somebody else, or do we need others that are not here today to help with our team building and give us the information we need? What are our known unknowns? What do we know that we don't know that we're going to need to know on our way to achieving this? And this all comes down to capability. Do we have the capability to do what it is that we're tasked to do? So um, these are the evaluation of resources, and when you come up, this is both physical and personal. You might have somebody on your team that's an expert in one thing that can take you so far, but then they don't know anything about this thing in anything you might want to do with government relations or government projects. Who do we get a hold of that's going to give us the okay to do what it is, and do we have the permits that we need? Do we need to acquire those? Who's going to do that? Do we need somebody on the team that's expert in this area or not? Um, and then there are unknown unknowns, which is something we can't really evaluate now, but we might be able to do that later. So do we have the capability of doing what it is that we really want to get done? And so now we've got that information pretty much. So we're gonna distribute those tasks. Again, this is pretty fundamental. This is in your work and so forth. If you're dealing with others, okay, who's going to do what? Who has the time to do this? Who's better capable of doing it in a timely manner? If um, who has the energy? Who's able to put in the work and get it done on a timely basis? And how can we improve our cooperation? Well, cooperation is reliant on a bunch of different things, and we'll get to the next one, but that's going to be communication, right? Now, who will be the principal contact or coordinator of our team? And do we need one?
Board,
Well,
board,
yeah, go ahead.
the board,
I'm
the
sorry.
board, the board member to approve it in the first.
Uh, yeah, I'm sorry, Eva. I didn't quite hear all of that. What did you say?
Okay, you said who going to build the what was it?
Who will be the principal contact or coordinator of the team?
Yeah, and communication. So we have any idea for the community service. For example, you have to bring out to the board meeting to let them to approve. And then if the board member approve it, and then we keep go on the project.
Well, yeah, well, that's at a different level. Eva, we're not talking tonight, and this is another about leading a board. Okay, you've got challenges because I know you're running your club. Um, this would be more at a fundamental level, let's say, at a committee at a committee where the project or the idea has already been established or floated or and approved. Okay. Um, and backing up, I mean, it's somebody up higher has probably done that. But at this point, what we're talking about, again, we're on ground zero here, would be the people who are going to put together the project. Let's say in your club, you have well, let's say giving out food at a school for a particular event. And who's gonna run that, or do you need to have, or can you run it from above? Chances are you're going to need somebody who's going to coordinate other people in the team to bring this, bring that, show up on time, help clean up, um, and get what it is done at the time on a timely basis so that everybody's happy when it's all said and done. Um, there are times, however, when it can be collaborative, where a group can work independently towards their own goal and not necessarily need a particular leader to tell them what to do or not to do. They can be done, they can be independent of in a way. Generally speaking, however, you do need a principal contact, somebody who's going to organize the group, make sure that they're on task, and check in with them. How often should the team check in with each other? Okay. And how are we going to accomplish that? Meaning, is it going to be done in personal meetings? Is it going to be done on Zoom? Is it going to be done by email, text? There are all different ways of communicating with each other. And in team building, you want to make sure you're doing it effectively. And the question becomes, can there be too much communication? What do you think about that? Can there be too much communication when it comes to organizing your particular project or event? What does that look like? Generally speaking, what that could look like is a Zoom meeting every week when you really don't need to do that, right? A coming together uh, or random reply all emails that are not really relevant to a particular task, especially if you're going to be um, working with the coordinator, and there may be a specific question to that person. And what happens is everybody sort of sees this individual question that has nothing to do with them, and they get frustrated because there's too much email. I mean, does that happen? Does that happen? Yeah, it happens when there's just too much email from this nonsensical, and you say, well, I don't really need to deal with that. That's not really my issue. But I'm happy. So that there's a lot. Sometimes there's just too much garbage that we have to wade through before we really get what we really need in information. So communication is really important. We need to open up those lines, but we also need to control them sometime to be effective team members. You say, okay, we're going to meet this next Tuesday at noon. Bring a sandwich, and we'll meet in the conference room. All right, we'll go over everybody's issues or how far they've gone. We'll communicate with each other and find out what's happening. Okay. That's that's the basic communication. And then if we need to get together interim, let's talk about that. Maybe we're coming to the end and we need to make it more than once a week. So that's where we get into the evaluation. And so we're going to check in to see the timeline is being met, right? If the tasks are being completed when they're required, how are we going to do that? We're going to find out what roadblocks that we're running into that are causing us some delay or maybe frustration, and what are we doing about that? And we reevaluate and set a new timeline. That's how we're going to do this. We got to be flexible, right? That's part of Rotary, is to adapt to the things that are going on around us. And then maybe shuffle the deck. And what do you think I mean by that? Shuffle the deck. Well, I think It could be just generally if you've got people who are on your team that are maybe not the best to be doing that particular job, maybe they could be doing a different job and you could shuffle that particular task to somebody else who could do it. If that looks like it's something that is, yes, Shanna.
Oh, yeah, hi. Um, for me, it would mean like um, I'm involved in a lot of different like things on different levels, and I've had to let go of some things. So like I don't want to hold on to something so much that it destroys the entire plan.
Mhm.
So I guess reshuffle means sometimes you just gotta let things go and reorder everything. So
Good.
not to be too.
Yeah, reorder everything, shuffle the deck, maybe set a new timeline, maybe throw out some things that are not important. Do that. And then maybe provide coaching. Maybe someone in the team can coach somebody else that's being frustrated and say, no, maybe this is what is a better way to approach this particular person or this particular idea, and we can move forward accordingly. So coaching is one of the final C's in team building. So now we're coming to the end and we're completing our task. We're going to bring our results to the manager or the team leader or the executive, whoever thought we should be doing this, or even to the general public. Maybe you're going to publish it in a newspaper or get media attention. You're going to choose a spokesperson or a spokespersons who are going to present whatever findings you've come up with, present that in a positive and persuasive manner, and be prepared for questions at the end of that, so that you can defend whatever it is that you are doing, and this has to do with something that you might be doing a report on. If it is a physical project, then it'd be something different. Shauna, do you still have another question?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I should
Yeah,
raise
that
my hand.
your hand was still up. And then don't forget to celebrate, because after you've done your thing, and what can celebration look like? I mean, if the team is successful in achieving their goal, what are the kind of things that they can do to celebrate their success? Well, you can go out to dinner. You can you can have a gathering at a local restaurant. You can you know get together at a different time. But anyway, celebration is an important thing. We don't do it enough. We don't pat each other on the back. We don't pat ourselves on the back and celebrate when we've finally accomplished something. And with that, I am going to turn it back to Naomi. If there are any questions, please shout out. Benson, hello.
Hi, Rich. Sorry about that.
That's,
Got caught in a traffic jam here and got here late. So, welcome everybody.
well,
Good to see you all again.
well, welcome. I have just finished my section. If there aren't any questions, I'm going to turn it back over to Naomi.
Okay, thank you. So what happens if you build a really strong team, you're working together, and you do the project that really wasn't what the user wanted to have? You ever had that situation where the team worked really well and got a lot accomplished, but the project that you did wasn't really impactful? Anybody have that? No? Okay, well, that's good, because then all of your effort was used wisely and it went to good use. Shauna?
Um, I did have a project that what happened was the team that was with me was all for it, but then there was a transition, and all the people who were supportive suddenly were with people who were on other agendas, and so the project that we originally had kind of fell down.
Wow.
I mean, I revived it and I did things to make it worthwhile, but that's what happened with us is yeah, when the team transitioned and had no people and the vision wasn't there anymore, so that synergy was gone. So
Wow.
that's what happened with six. Yeah.
Yeah. So, working with a team is to be everybody on the same page and want to do it together is really important. With Rotary, whenever we do a project, we want to see if it's the right thing for the user. So there's this thing called the design thinking. Has anybody heard about design thinking? No? Okay, good. Then I can talk about design thinking. So let me share my screen. So design thinking is thinking about solving a problem from the user's point of view. So putting the person or the goal at the center of the process and thinking about how are we going to do this to help those people who have a certain problem or a situation that we need to really understand. So when we go to, we've heard a lot of stories about us as in civilized nations, we want people to have clean water. We want people to have, the things that we have. But then when you go to a third world country, maybe that's not what they want. I'll give you an example. There was a project that was a lot of money spent, and we thought these people are having to hike, so many hours to go get water. Why don't we drill a well for them here, and they can get water in their village? Well, the women didn't like that because they like to go walk together because they can get away and they can socialize among themselves, and they felt that that was more important than having water at their household. So looking at the user's point of view on what is needed. So putting the people in the center and understanding what they need. So in order to understand what they want, it's a lot of brainstorming and testing and bringing up some ideas. So why you would use this in team building is to collaborate. So everybody feels involved. So when you have a club, you've got a group of people, and if you involve everyone, then they have buy-in. They'll feel valued, and they'll be more collaborative in that project. Then it encourages creativity. If you have an open dialogue where people are not fearing criticism, that they're free to talk freely from their heart and put in their 2 cents. So it really builds trust if you can have this open communication and empathy, and it's really going to strengthen the relationships you have within the team. So what are the steps in design thinking is empathizing. You define the problem, you brainstorm because you want to find the best solution. Sometimes what you think is the best solution might not be. So hearing other ideas, other points of view is going to kind of bring out the solutions that are going to work. Then you plan, you might have a prototype, but you test your theory and try and make it work for the solution. So when you empathize, you get to know your team members. You want to know how they work. You want to have that relationship to be open and understand. And so, Shana, you're talking about emotional intelligence. So it's really trying to read that person and see how they're feeling, because sometimes they have a frown on their face and they don't like what they're hearing, or they want to say something, but they feel they're going to be criticized. So having that open relationship will foster good dialogue, good brainstorming. Having one-on-one chat sometimes is going to work because maybe they want to be heard outside of the meeting. Listening is really important. And then having a really safe place for people to share. So what is brainstorming? And so sometimes what people do is they have Post-its. And so maybe they'll just bring out those ideas, have it on Post-its, you post all of those things, and then maybe you will prioritize, or maybe you'll vote on which Post-it has the best idea. So brainstorming is where you can have, let's put everything out on the table and see which one is going to work. Okay, so that will bring out a wide range of ideas. And then you hold a session where you look at all of the ideas and there's no judgment. So, oh yeah, that's a bad idea. That's not, it's an idea. So the thing is to come up with the best idea that's going to be the best for the user's point of view. So you plan, you turn your ideas into plans, make it simple. How is it going to work? Maybe you're going to ask people for their opinions on if this plan is going to work, because maybe they have experience in that. But you want to see if there's a possibility to do something new. Not always the old way is the way to do it. Sometimes you need to fix that old way. So create mock-ups, drafts, really testing out to see if it's going to work. And then you define what is the problem, what is the challenge that the team has, but also from the point of view from the user. And you work together to create that solution, and then everybody agrees on it, or can agree to it. So sometimes they may not be totally in favor, but they'll go along with the majority. So prototypes, getting feedback, looking for ways to improve is always a good thing. So how do you build that culture in a team? You encourage collaboration by breaking down silos, getting to know each other, maybe cross-training people, having people work on different parts of the project. Celebrate the creativity, and you want to reward immediately and recognize the creative ideas and efforts. But continuous learning, sometimes you got to research to see if something else is going to work. So tips for leader: you want to lead by example, show empathy. You want to really develop or create a supportive environment. And sometimes you got to take the risks. But when for Rotary, when you work on something that is helping other people, it makes you feel good that you were able to help someone, and you have a beneficiary that appreciates what you did and celebrate the successes. So design thinking is a way for leaders to build stronger, more innovative teams. And then you really use your skills to understand other people, to read other people, and build that collaboration. And that's how you can have a good team that works together. So design thinking is empathy for people you're trying to design for. And leadership is exactly the same, building empathy for the people that you're trying to help. So, okay, any questions? Questions? Pretty logical? Okay, good. Okay, so we want to first let Benson talk a little bit about team building with relationships, how you can have a really effective team, just for a few minutes. Benson.
Well, thank you, Naomi. Nice of you guys to join us. So I wanted to go back to when I joined Rotary only like a decade ago, so 10 years ago. So when I got into Rotary, my sister got me into Rotary. I thought, wow, our focus in our club was to do service projects. So I felt, all right, well, Rotary is a service organization, which it is. And so I started getting, involved in service projects, and it was great. Then Naomi got me into the, working with the district training. And as we started getting more and more into training, which landed us where we are today, it seemed to me that Rotary is really a leadership organization, right? Because my belief, and I think a lot of people's belief, is that everybody that joins Rotary is a leader in some way or another, or at least has had some leadership experience. And so, I thought we have to develop leaders, because it's a pretty simple equation, right? So if the base of Rotary is our clubs, and our clubs don't have leadership, there isn't going to be a club, there isn't going to be Rotary. So it's pretty simple. So what we're doing here tonight in the development of leadership is really, really, really important, right? But over the last few years, what I've been able to see in my latest sort of evolution on what is Rotary really is that I believe and I see that Rotary is really a relationship organization, because it's the relationships that people have within the clubs and with other Rotarians and even people within their family that really is the engine, or it's the motivation to make Rotary go and make Rotary grow, right? So what I have noticed about the best leaders in Rotary are the leaders that understand that relationships are really important. You know, the old style of leadership that came up like when my dad was kind of growing up and he came out of the military, it was really about command and control, right? I'm going to command you to do something, and my job is to control your activities to make sure you do what I say you're going to do. But now the new leadership, what it's evolved to is really to create trust and inspire people. Trust and inspire. In fact, what I believe a good leader does, and especially a leader in Rotary, when you're leading volunteers, which is a whole different ball game than just trying to do conventional leadership within our organization. So if our job, if trust and inspire is really the goal, then I believe that our leaders, our job is to really create an environment with the tools that Rich was talking about and Naomi was talking about empathizing. You need to have those skills, but creating an environment where trust and relationships can really thrive. So I give you an example. So last year, my wife reluctantly took on the club presidency, right? And so she never wanted to be a leader. She's a finance person. And she said, no, I don't want to lead, but we got to the point where, all right, who else wants to be president? She says, okay, I'll do it, right? But her style, because she's always been a background person, she's not very authoritative, right? She's not the kind of person that comes up and says, all right, gang, this is how we're going to do it, right? So what she does basically is she comes in and she works the relationships that she has with the people, and basically she comes across as, all right, I trust you guys that you guys know what you're doing. And so I'll get behind you because there's no possible way I can do everything in here, but I'm going to support you guys. I'm going to believe in you guys, and I'm going to trust in you guys, right? And so that actually allowed the club to really kind of grow. We got new members in. In fact, a lot of the people that are on the call or in our Kupu Mau are new people that came in as a result of either her leadership or our current leadership. So anyway, I wanted to just kind of put that across and what my thoughts are about leadership, and I'll turn it back over to Naomi before I take up all the time. Any questions or thoughts or comments about that? I'd be glad to talk about that.
So can I share something about today? We had
Sure.
a day.
Great.
So I am trying to do what Mr. Ted wants us to do, and that is to, really get our strategic planning together, right? And so we were talking about the characteristics because we're going to come up with our vision statement. And I just went around the table and I said, give us some characteristics of our club. And this is what you were just talking about. The word ohana came up.
Yep.
And then another sentence came in, working together as friends, making the world a better and more peaceful and brighter place to live. So that's like one idea of all the different, but when you talked about relationships, see, now I'm seeing now that people are more friendship, the relationships are starting to show. That I'm seeing that here. So anyway, that's important because that was, and everybody agreed, yes, we're friends and we're all working together. And I thought, wow, because this is my only third year, and I kind of felt like I was on the outside because I'm always observing and learning and listening because that's how I approach things when I'm new. But today, those words came out as part of the characteristics of our clubs, and I thought that was nice.
Yeah. Carol, I just want to make a comment, and then Shannon, you can talk next, is that is a key characteristic of a good leader, is the ability to just sit there, listen, let people express their thoughts and feelings, because I'm sure all of us have worked for leaders that they don't care what you think. They have a plan, and their job is to make you do their plan. So being a leader of volunteers, you have to be open and willing to get thoughts and ideas from everybody. So, Shannon, what's your thought?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I agree with that. Well, my thought is, one of the things that I've learned along the way is that mentors are a big asset to any organization. Mentors, like, say, as you move into different positions, um, someone who's been there can tell you this is how it goes. So right now, I feel like I'm being mentored by the current president, Claudia Wilcox, for sure. But I think that more like a formal thing, perhaps for new members to come in and to have a seasoned Rotary member to lead them through the process and all that. Um, you know, it's just a thought.
Well, I think that whole idea of mentorship is really awesome. And in fact, when I got into Rotary, I found after I had been in a while, so I found myself, because we had some younger people come in. In fact, it was my granddaughters that came in, right? So I'm trying to mentor them, kind of help them along. That's kind of like my job anyway. But I'm also being mentored by these guys, by the Harold Ohatas, by the Jimmy Souzas, by the Val Cooks, who all have 50 years plus, like, in Rotary. So what I find the ideal situation is you want to be mentoring people, but then you want to be a mentee too, right? You want people to be mentoring you, so that sort of cyclical learning is always kind of points. A great idea. What's your thought, Naomi?
In order to have continuity, in order for things to move along, we do need to bring up other people. So, Kitty McCulkane said, you always want to find someone to follow you. So bring them up after you, but hand them the baton and let go, because we all need to find someone to replace us, because we are going to move on, right? So, okay, so there's so much to learn, so many things to do when you have a team. And so we thought we would do a little exercise. And so we're going to pair you up, and in this breakout room, so just for 10 minutes, think about a project, either international project, maybe it's a multi-club project, it's something, but the whole purpose is to have member engagement. How can you do something that plan something that is going to be good for members, good for beneficiaries, be impactful. So I'm going to do the breakout room. So plan a district or multi-club event or project that is impactful, engages members, or expand Rotary. Okay, so Benson, is that okay?
Oh yeah. I mean, if you have that, that's good.
Okay, so we're gonna start brainstorming, find out, okay, what kind of what do you guys want to do? And then you can talk after after this meeting, before the next meeting, and then you can present, okay, what is your idea and how did you work together and plan that idea or that project or the social. Okay, so opening the breakout rooms.
Oh,
Just
okay.
2 rooms.
I'll join.
Yep. Okay, Rich, you too. Jenna, you got that room. Tuesday.
And let's see here. And remember how that gentleman said, "Oh yeah, we do hygiene products for the homeless, and we do feeding for the homeless, but we need something bigger." And so I just threw out, you know what? The island needs is a Rotary sponsored women's shelter for the seniors, senior women shelter for the homeless. With the Rotary name, the Rotary can provide the shower kits and some food, and then programs will be built in for medical as well as housing for permanent housing. But it's a district project. It's a lofty idea, but I think it would be a first of a kind.
And Shayna, you had an idea too?
Yeah. Oh, Shauna. Um,
Shayna.
well, it goes hand in hand with what Kara was saying. I feel that we need a women's forum for the island of Hawaii because our women, well, because I'm, you know, part of the Committee on the Status of Women, though that's pretty much my focus. But as we went around the island talking to them, I believe that there should be a women's forum. And when we talked in our breakout room, Benson was mentioning that it would be good to have one on both sides of the island. And I was thinking West Hawaii Civic Center and Civic, the Civic in Hilo. And then, possibly, we could have the women of the island, just come and have breakout, sessions about different topics like abortion, childcare, workforce development, what their needs are on the island, housing. So that's pretty much what my idea was.
Eva?
Okay, our Waikiki Cup already done for so many years for the hygiene, for the shelters, for the women and homeless. And my idea today, sorry, I forgot to tell you, Naomi and Rich. The jail woman, woman in the jail, and sometimes they done the mistake by their own. Sometimes it is from their partner, their love, the one they love. That's why they get in jail. This idea from the former president, former governor, Lingo Lingo. So she came to our club to be a speaker. Then we joined the project last year. Before Christmas, we bought all the hygienists and sippers gift card to send to the center with the jail woman. I cannot say the name because protection and privacy. So it is expensive, but still help them. They need help because after jail, you come out, you have a no job, no nothing to do. You have a no life. So I forgot to share this with our room. Sorry about that.
Okay, so then before the next meeting, let's think about that idea, about that project, and try and do some research and see if that is a project that is needed from the user's point of view, and see if this is something that we can bring up to your clubs and districts and do the project by the end of the year or next year. But try to see, because maybe your project is being done by somebody else. Maybe the need isn't there anymore, but let's do some research and see how we can really think about something that would be impactful. Okay?
Yeah.
Benson?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Great idea because we came up with some things that could really work. So yeah, let's figure out a way to make it work.
Okay.
Our next meeting?
Our next meeting, we're going to be talking about relationships and hold on. Benson, it's going to be on interpersonal relationships, people-centric, how to improve your relationships and what it's going to take to do that. Okay. Okay. That is October 10th. 10/10.
Okay.
Eva, is that a good day? 10/10?
And then's a good day for me.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Okay. Thanks a
Thank
lot,
you.
everybody.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.